The 1950s were a decade of optimism, chrome, and confidence in America. The nation had emerged from the shadows of World War II into a golden age of prosperity, and the automobile became the ultimate symbol of freedom, power, and progress. Highways were expanding, families were moving to suburbs, and Detroit was booming. Every major carmaker sought to capture the imagination of a public that craved innovation and style, but none did it with more grace or ambition than Cadillac. Among the masterpieces that defined that era of boundless creativity stood one car above the rest, a car that was as much a work of art as it was a machine, the Cadillac Eldorado Brougham. To speak of the 1958 Eldorado Brougham is to speak of the pinnacle of American luxury and engineering at mid-century. It was a time when the big three, Ford, Chrysler, and General Motors, competed not just to sell cars, but to define the American dream itself. Yet within GM's vast empire, Cadillac stood apart, a symbol of success, prestige, and the kind of unshakable confidence that made the brand's name synonymous with excellence. The phrase, the Cadillac of anything, boats, appliances, even ideas, meant it was the best. And in 1958, the Eldorado Brougham was not only the Cadillac of Cadillacs, it was arguably the most advanced and expensive car in the world. The Eldorado Brougham was conceived during a period of intense competition and bold experimentation in Detroit. Harley Earl, GM's legendary design chief, envisioned a vehicle that would not only showcase Cadillac's leadership in luxury, but also push the boundaries of automotive design and technology. This car would be a halo model, a statement of what Cadillac could achieve when money was no object and imagination ran free. When the Eldorado Brougham debuted in 1957, it was unlike anything the world had seen. It carried a price tag of $13,074, when a brand new Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud cost around $10,000, and a Chevrolet Bel Air barely exceeded $2,500. Every Eldorado Brougham was hand-built at the Cadillac plant, where teams of skilled craftsmen assembled them with a precision normally reserved for fine jewelry. They were not mass-produced. They were created. Each car took weeks to complete, with exacting attention to every detail. The result was a vehicle that transcended transportation. It was an experience of elegance, engineering, and excess. The price alone told you this was not a car for everyone. It was for those who had already achieved everything. The 1958 model carried over much of the grandeur of its 1957 predecessor, but introduced subtle refinements that made it even more sophisticated. It was offered in a palette of 28 exterior colors and 45 different interior combinations. Buyers could express their individuality through these combinations, though there were no options to select. Because the Eldorado Brougham came fully equipped, it was Cadillac's way of saying, "This is perfection, you cannot improve it." Standard features read like a wish list from the future. Power steering, power brakes, and power windows were just the beginning. There were power door locks, a 6-way power front seat with a favorite position memory function, and air conditioning at a time when few cars offered it. The glove box contained controls for opening and locking the trunk, while switches on the rear doors prevented the car from being shifted into gear if the rear doors were open, a thoughtful safety measure that seemed decades ahead of its time. Alloy wheels, unheard of on most American cars, graced the Brougham's stance, and air suspension offered a ride that seemed to float above the road, though many examples, like the one in Glendale, California today, have since been converted to conventional springs for reliability. Yet it wasn't just technology that defined the Brougham, it was the sheer indulgence of its presentation. Each car came with a vanity set, the sort of exquisite touch that evoked the opulence of luxury ocean liners and private salons. Inside the glove compartment sat a magnetic tray with 4 metal tumblers, ready for a roadside refreshment. There was a tissue dispenser, a cigarette case, and for the lady of refinement, an Evans compact set complete with comb, mirror, lipstick holder, and coin purse. In the rear compartment, Cadillac included a leather-bound notebook with a crossed pencil, a beveled mirror, and a perfume atomizer filled with an ounce of Arpege Extrait de Lanvin, a fragrance synonymous with sophistication. It was not merely a car. It was a curated experience of what Cadillac considered the good life. These details might sound extravagant today, but in the 1950s, they represented America's supreme confidence in craftsmanship and luxury. The Eldorado Brougham was not built for necessity. It was built for desire. It existed to prove that American engineering and style could rival, and perhaps surpass, Europe's finest marques. Rolls-Royce, Bentley, and Mercedes-Benz had long dominated the conversation around luxury, but Cadillac's answer was louder, bolder, and unmistakably American. The Eldorado Brougham wasn't understated, it was unapologetically glamorous. Each line of the Brougham's body was sculpted with artistic precision. The stainless steel roof gleamed like the deck of a yacht. The body sides flowed gracefully into fins that stood tall and proud, a symbol of speed and progress that defined late 50s automotive design. The front end, with its wide, jeweled grille and quad headlights, exuded confidence and power. At over 18 feet long, the Brougham was a rolling statement of prestige. It demanded attention wherever it went, whether gliding down Park Avenue or cruising Sunset Boulevard. But beneath its glamour lay serious engineering. The car was powered by Cadillac's 365 cubic inch V8 engine, producing 310 horsepower, more than enough to propel its nearly 5,000-pound frame with authority. The engine was mated to a hydromatic automatic transmission, delivering smooth, effortless acceleration. The Brougham wasn't built for racing. It was built for serene, commanding motion. The way it glided over pavement, soaking up imperfections with its air suspension, gave passengers the impression of floating rather than driving. And yet, despite its size and weight, the Brougham handled with composure that impressed even seasoned drivers. Inside, the cabin was a study in luxury and innovation. The black leather upholstery of the Glendale car is supple and perfectly tailored, wrapping around deep seats that invited relaxation. The dashboard was a masterpiece of symmetry and style, filled with chrome accents and toggle switches that clicked with mechanical precision. Even the radio antenna raised automatically, as though saluting its owner. Everything about the Eldorado Brougham communicated craftsmanship. Every surface, every sound, every scent of fine materials. Restoring such a masterpiece is no small feat, and the example offered today bears testament to that. The car underwent a comprehensive restoration by White Post Restorations in Virginia, costing over $70,000, a figure that underscores the seriousness of the effort. The work included converting the original air suspension to conventional springs, refinishing the body in a luminous Copenhagen blue, rechroming every piece of bright work, and overhauling the mechanicals from engine to transmission. The result is a car that looks as though it just rolled out of Cadillac's Fleetwood plant in 1958. With just 44,000 miles from new, it stands as a time capsule from the golden age of American luxury. The photographs show a car of exceptional cleanliness, from the mirror-polished undercarriage to the pristine engine bay. There's a sense that this car was cherished, not merely owned. Its preservation speaks volumes about the respect collectors hold for these rare machines. Only 304 examples of the 1958 model were ever built, making it one of the scarcest production Cadillacs in history. Each one represents a lost era, when automakers dared to build the extraordinary. To drive an Eldorado Brougham is to experience more than transportation. It is to be transported to a different era entirely. The door closes with a solid, confident click. The V8 hums to life with quiet authority. The steering, light yet deliberate, moves this massive car with grace. The road ahead disappears beneath a hood that stretches like a runway. From the inside, the world feels softer, slower, more deliberate. The Cadillac doesn't rush. It glides. It carries with it an aura of dignity that modern cars rarely achieve. People who see an Eldorado Brougham in person rarely forget it. It has presence, an almost cinematic charisma that commands attention. Park it at a show or along a boulevard, and crowds gather instinctively. They point at the tail fins, the stainless roof, the sculpted trim. They ask questions, often with amazement, because few have ever seen one outside of a museum. That rarity is part of its allure. When new, the Brougham was a halo car meant to project Cadillac's image onto the world. Today, it serves the same purpose for collectors. A beacon of what once was, when ambition was unrestrained. There is something pure about a machine built without compromise. In an age of mass production and cost efficiency, The Eldorado Brougham was hand-built excess turned into art. It is no wonder that these cars, when they appear on the market, command respect and high prices. The $115,000 asking price for this example reflects not just its condition but its cultural weight. You are not merely buying a car. You are acquiring a piece of the American dream, sealed in chrome and leather. Each surviving Brougham carries the legacy of its creators. The engineers who tested its suspension, the craftsmen who stitched its seats, the designers who shaped its body. These men and women worked during a time when cars were personal statements, not mass products. They understood that luxury was about more than features. It was about feeling. The Eldorado Brougham was designed to make its occupants feel important, pampered, and proud. And over 60 years later, it still does. If you find yourself behind the wheel of one, you'll understand the subtle poetry of its movement. The engine's soft rumble, the whisper of air past its curved glass, the satisfying weight of the steering. Every sensation is measured and deliberate. It encourages reflection. You begin to imagine what it was like in 1958 when the highways were new, when gasoline was cheap, when Cadillac was king. The Eldorado Brougham embodies that optimism, frozen in time. Collectors often speak of investment value, rarity, or concours eligibility, and the Brougham excels in all those areas. But beyond the statistics, there is something more emotional at play. This car captures a mood, an identity, a time when America believed the future would be beautiful and made of chrome. Driving it today is like opening a portal to that belief. Few machines have managed to encapsulate such a broad spectrum of meaning. The Eldorado Brougham is at once a symbol of artistry, excess, innovation, and nostalgia. It represents the best of what happens when a company refuses to settle for ordinary. It shows that luxury can be both mechanical and emotional, tangible and dreamlike. And perhaps that's why the 1958 Cadillac Eldorado Brougham continues to fascinate generations of enthusiasts. It was not meant to be practical. It was meant to inspire. It still does. Whether displayed at Pebble Beach or cruising through Glendale under the California sun, it stands as a reminder that the automobile can be more than a means to an end. It can be an expression of who we are and who we dared to be. The Brougham remains one of the rarest jewels in Cadillac's crown, and in the realm of classic cars, rarity paired with beauty is a formula for immortality. You won't see one on the road by chance. You must seek it out or be fortunate enough to own it. Those who do understand what they possess. A symbol of craftsmanship that defined an era. A rolling testament to a time when Detroit ruled the world. When you look at the long, gleaming body, you don't just see a car. You see the reflection of a nation at its peak confidence. The towering fins, the chrome-laden grille, the precision of its trim. All of it tells a story of pride. The Cadillac Eldorado Brougham was built for those who had arrived. It was a reward, a statement, a crown jewel. And 6 decades later, it remains every bit as mesmerizing as it was the day it left the factory. Owning one today is like owning a piece of mid-century American art. It's not just about driving. It's about curating history. Each turn of the key, each mile traveled, connects you with the legacy of Cadillac's greatest triumph. You feel it in the weight of the doors, in the smoothness of the throttle, in the admiring looks of passers-by. The Eldorado Brougham is timeless because it was built with a purpose larger than profit. It was built to prove what was possible. And so, in the annals of automotive history, the 1958 Cadillac Eldorado Brougham remains a singular masterpiece. A car that dared to dream bigger than the world around it. A car that, even today, whispers of elegance, confidence, and the boundless imagination of an America that believed anything could be achieved. The story is not just about design or luxury, it's about ambition. And as long as there are those who remember what it meant to build something beautiful for its own sake, the Eldorado Brougham will never fade into obscurity. It will continue to glide, effortlessly and eternally, through the pages of time.